Hello, I am Shana's parenting Valley. Today I'm talking about Maya. The topic is the science, day 10, the science behind happiness, how to cultivate joy.
Interesting. What sparked your interest in the science of happiness
Hi
specifically today?
Maya, hi
Hi there.
Maya, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. What's going on with you today?
I am also good. Now I'm discussing about the topic is the
Yeah,
science
what was that?
behind happiness, how to cultivate joy. Okay.
Happiness science. It's fascinating stuff and way more complicated than you'd think. What about it caught your attention today?
Okay. Is happiness a feeling, a state of mind, or a skill?
That's a really good question. I think it's all three, actually. But if I had to pick one, I'd say it's most definitely a skill. A lot of people think happiness is just this thing that happens to you, right? But there's so much research now showing you can actually practice happiness, like gratitude or mindfulness, and build it over time. What do you think?
Hmm. How do scientists measure happiness?
That's tricky, right? It can't exactly stick someone in an MRI when they're feeling joyful. A lot of it is done through surveys, basically asking people how satisfied they are with their lives, their moods, that kind of thing. But scientists also look at physical markers too, like cortisol levels when someone's stressed or activity in certain brain areas during emotional experiences. It's like happiness leaves a fingerprint, but it's not a simple one to find.
What role do brain chemicals like dopamine and serotonin play in happiness?
Okay, so here's the thing about dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, all of it, they get way too much credit as the happiness chemicals. The truth is, they don't actually cause happiness directly. Dopamine is more about motivation and reward. Serotonin is more about mood regulation, and they're linked to all sorts of things besides happiness, like focus, sleep, even learning. The real story is that these chemicals create the right conditions for our brains to process happiness, like the foundations for happiness rather than happiness itself. Does that make sense?
Can happiness be learned or it is genetic?
It's both, honestly, but the learning part is way more powerful than most people realize. There's definitely a genetic component. Studies show about 50% of your happiness level is genetically determined, but that means 50% is actually within your control through your behaviors and choices. That's huge. You can train your brain for more happiness, like learning a new skill. What do you think about that?
What is the difference between pleasure and long term happiness?
Mm, That's a crucial distinction. Pleasure is that instant hit, like eating chocolate or getting a shopping spree. It feels good in the moment, but it's pretty fleeting. Long term happiness is deeper, it's more about meaning and purpose. It's built through connections, growth, and living in line with your values. And the pleasure stuff can feel great, but it won't actually make you happier in the long run. Actually, chasing pleasure can sometimes get in the way of the real happiness thing. What's your take on it?
How do our thoughts influence our happiness?
Your thoughts are basically the architects of your happiness. What we think about colors, how we experience everything. And it's not necessarily about thinking positive 24/7. It's more about the stories we tell ourselves about our lives and what happens in them. If you tend to focus on the negative, your brain will latch onto every little thing that could go wrong. But if you practice gratitude or look for lessons in setbacks, that rewires your brain to find the good stuff instead. It's literally a mental training exercise.
What is the impact of positive thinking on mental health?
Positive thinking isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's actually a really practical thing. When you make a habit of noticing the good alongside the bad, you give your brain a chance to shift. Studies have actually shown positive thinking can improve your resilience during tough times, lower blood pressure, and reduce your risk for heart disease. I'm not saying ignore real challenges, it's about how you frame them and whether you approach them with hopelessness or possibility.
How does mindfulness increase happiness?
Mm, mindfulness is really the secret weapon here. I think it's one of those things you kind of have to experience to truly understand. But basically, it's bringing your full attention to whatever's happening right now without judgment. When you do that, you realize how much of your unhappiness comes from being stuck in your head, worrying about the future or replaying the past. Mindfulness cuts through that noise and gets you back to the present moment. Plus, it helps you notice small joys you normally miss. You ever tried it?
Yes. How does stress reduce happiness?
Stress is basically happiness kryptonite, isn't it? When you're constantly stressed, your body pumps out cortisol, which long term messes with your brain chemistry and can actually shrink areas of the brain involved in things like learning and memory. But beyond that, stress sucks up your mental resources. So when your brain's dealing with that fight or flight response, it doesn't have the bandwidth for gratitude or connecting with people you love or pursuing anything meaningful. Stress just shrinks your world.
What is emotional intelligence and how does it relate to joy?
Emotional intelligence is basically knowing your own feelings, plus understanding how other people are feeling too. And that understanding actually unlocks a whole different level of happiness. When you know your own triggers and emotions, like when you get defensive or sad or irritable, you can manage them instead of getting steamrolled by them. That gives you more control over your reactions and keeps things from spiraling. Being attuned to others builds stronger relationships too, which is one of the biggest factors in happiness.
What daily habits scientifically increase happiness?
Ooh, there's so much here, but some of the winners? Gratitude. Seriously, keeping a gratitude journal actually works. Random acts of kindness, even small ones, can give your brain a hit of dopamine. Social connection, make real human contact regularly, and getting physical activity, exercise is like therapy with side effects. Small, consistent changes make a difference. You don't have to overhaul your whole life to see benefits.
How does physical exercise boost mood?
Physically, exercise releases endorphins and serotonin, happy chemicals, sure. But there's more to it than just biochemistry. Moving your body creates this sense of accomplishment, gets you out of your head, and helps regulate your nervous system. Even a short walk can lower stress hormones and give you a fresh perspective. It's one of those things where the benefits keep stacking the more consistent you are. You mentioned building routines. Exercise could be a good starting point.
Why is sleep important for emotional well being?
Sleep is when your brain literally reboots and processes emotions from the day. Skimp on sleep, and you're basically walking around with a brain that's emotionally scrambled, easier to get irritated, stressed, sad. You know how much harder everything feels when you're tired? That's your brain's emotional regulation system going offline. Long term sleep deprivation also messes with how you process positive experiences. You don't get as much enjoyment out of good stuff. It's like your brain filters it out.
How does healthy food affect happiness?
It's not just about willpower. Nutrition has a direct impact on brain function. Poor diet can cause mood swings, fatigue, and even increase anxiety. Healthy fats, complex carbs, and protein give your brain consistent energy levels and essential building blocks for mood regulating neurotransmitters. I've heard from others that diet shifts have been surprisingly effective. Food literally fuels both your body and your emotions. What you eat matters just as much as the gym.
Can helping others make us happier?
Absolutely. There's actually strong scientific evidence that helping others makes us happier than spending money on ourselves. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. When you do something kind for someone else, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, those feel good hormones.
Okay,
Plus, there's a sense of purpose and meaning that comes with helping others, which is huge for long term happiness. The more often you help others, the better you feel overall.
okay, thank you so much.